soured on Black's position, he's going to lose that A-pawn, Danny. There's no question about it. He's going to lose that A-pawn. Will he have enough to hold the ensuing position? I don't know.
Yeah, and White doesn't even have to protect this pawn any further right now. King to c3 is good enough. The only question is whether White, okay, he goes c3, but the question was whether White wanted to play a 4 in case you wanted to take with this pawn rather than the e-pawn. But ultimately, Keymer decides it's time to go gather up this stray calf and bring it back to the farm. Which is where pawns go when they're taken from the board. If anyone is ever heartbroken about a pawn, don't worry. Pawns go to the farm with other pawns when they're taken from the board. Did you know that?
Very good. I did not know that, but now I am fully reassured and I can continue capturing pawns with a clear conscience.
You can capture pawns guilt-free. Pawns all get taken back to the same farm.
Now, is this a fortress? This is the big question. Peter is just going to go back and forth. Bishop f5, bishop g6. Now, Vincent is eventually going to do something with his pawns. I think he's going to try to push f4. He's going to get his king to e3, Danny, and then he's going to push f4 and try defending this with 28 seconds left. You have to be able to react to whatever White throws at you. And that's the problem with having, 30 seconds in a position like this.
Yep. No, I mean, you're nailing it, and I'm also wondering how slow Keymer will play this, right? Because when you're the one who's the dictator in the position, you can kind of take your time and torture him. You can play f4, but you can also play a little tickle with the bishops.
No, I would go f4. I think get down to business.
H4, you want it? I mean, okay, you're right. F4 is probably the best. But what if Black just sits? F4 and I sit. What's your next move?
I think maybe f takes g5 and h4, and I have a feeling that outside h-pawn should deliver the victory.
It's fascinating because even with the bishop being the wrong color corner, you're not using that pawn to win. You're using that pawn to distract, and ultimately you win because you're going to win this pawn.
Exactly. But he doesn't go for it. Bishop h7.
He doesn't go for it.
Taking his time, trying to bleed Black's clock down. And then at some point, he's going to play the move f3.
Yeah.
And he might try to trap Black's bishop. Actually, f3. And where does Black's bishop go? Whoa! The bishop is trapped.
That's it. He just trapped the bishop. That's actually
He's got to go bishop h3, and then White drops back to d3.
I was going to say, you could even play g4 right away or bishop d3, and I think it's just over. Okay.
Holy cannoli.
I think g4 first is the cleanest, because if bishop f1, then you go bishop d3. He's not getting out.
Yes. And the pawn endgame is lost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly, Chen. Yeah. I remember the first time I lost an endgame to Mikhail Gurevich. Yeah. It was...
Yeah, exactly. We'll always have to come up with the most random GM.
It
Robert
was actually
Huebner.
Mikhail Gurevich. Robert Huebner in 1972. And what's funny about that story is that Gary was there, and Gary just hated the Grunfeld at the time. I'm sorry.
I hated it. Absolutely despised it. He detested it. He abhorred it.
Bishop f1. Bishop f1, it's over. King and pawn ending is easy money. You bring the king back to e3 and play f4. And just like that, there were only 2 left with perfect scores.
Wow.
Vincent Keymer joins Jospin, Jose Martinez. That's going to be a thriller in the next round. We've got 2 early favorites to win the whole thing here in the play-in stage.